Now, I hope this audio tonight holds up. It's already glitched on me pre-show.
Yeah.
I'll keep an eye on it. I've spoken to Jordan during the week, and he's given me a couple of tips on how to set things up a little bit better. But hopefully we're all right tonight, Jules.
Or else it's on.
Otherwise, I don't know. Maybe we'll just call it until we work it out. Happy Easter to everyone.
See, Buona Pascha.
Everyone that celebrates. An Orthodox Easter as well.
Yeah, same
weekend.
Same week this year, but that's
Very rare.
has it happened before?
Very rare.
Like in our lifetime, do you reckon it's happened? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
It probably has.
I can't remember that happening. But it's also, so we celebrate the resurrection of Christ, if you're a Catholic, which we are. Celebrate the resurrection of Christ today. The second coming. It's also the 33rd coming of another JC, Jules Casano. Happy birthday.
Cheers, boys. Some would say I am the Christ.
It doesn't happen very often that your birthday falls on Easter Sunday. The only other time I remember it was when we went to Ballarat when we were kids. Remember that?
I think it happens. Yeah, I think it happens every. I can't remember. Your dad he messaged me today. He reckons it happens every 6 to 8 years or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
But yeah, it does happen.
Every now and then.
Every now and then, which is nice.
Happy birthday. Most people forgot. I forgot. Your sisters forgot. Your lovely wife forgot.
Yeah. That could have been the not happy down for tonight.
Yeah, well, if he was here. He's not, unfortunately. He is in Hayman Island off the coast of Whitsundays, enjoying himself. And unlike
Dad's birthday, no?
Unlike me, when I go away and I tune in, he didn't want to. Is that right, Jules?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it is his dad's. It's his dad's.
It's his dad's birthday. He's 60th, so they're spending I think it was 10 days up there, which is nice.
Something like that. So, yeah, it's been a very, very nice long weekend so far.
What'd you get up to?
Hold on, we'll get to that in a minute. I was just going to say, I was actually going to give an update. So I'm going away in 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about this last week.
Yeah,
before we get into the show, we'll tell the viewers now. Over the next 4 weeks, you're going to see a bit of a different show. I don't know how it's necessarily going to go, but I'm going to hand the reins over to Jules and Dan, alternating weeks, because while I'm away, the plan at the moment is that I'm not actually going to tune in on StreamYard. You guys are going to you want to come into the studio, you want to do the show every week, the two of you. Is that right?
Yeah.
Which means one of you has to host.
Yeah.
And do what I do.
Easy.
So we're gonna do a bit of a trial run over the next few weeks. Not today. I'll run this one, but once Dan's back next week, it could get interesting. But if Jordan's watching, you're gonna have to come in and help these boys set up, because I'm telling you,
especially if you have audio issues.
Yeah, I got no idea. We actually got
1, 2, 3, 4.
It was clean. It was clinical. Like, we executed to perfection.
Now, I'd like to actually go into a few stats and I questioned Charlie about a month or so ago.
That is so frustrating as a fan. All you needed was an extra 2-3%.
On the podcast, you're a shit person. You're arrogant. You're obnoxious. I'm sick of it. And I reckon I've got 2 more episodes in me.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 151 of the Almost Blues Brothers podcast, part of the Blue Broad Media Network. Again, you right?
My funny bone.
Proudly powered by Mavros Studios in 2025. Beautiful Mavros Studios here in Preston, just off Bell Street. MAV
ROS. That's it. That's the one. Hotham Street.
Hotham Street, yes. We're also sponsored by Vortep Clothing. Jules has got the tee on. I don't have the tee on tonight. I apologise to Petrov because I didn't do my whites. He's only given me one tee. I've only got the white tee. I didn't do my whites this week. But I actually have brought in, it's way too hot today to wear this, but I've brought in the crew neck hoodie from Vortep this year.
Put it on so the viewers can see how it fits.
Hot. But it's one of the most comfortable hoodies, genuinely, that I think I've ever owned. Very, very good material from Vortep. So head to vortep.com.au, get your hoodies, get your tees, get your trackies, whatever your tech fleece from there. Jules, I'm going to let you do it tonight because you love this shit.
Oh, 3099.
Yep.
Unbelievable jerky.
There it is.
I smashed this one down. Which one was the...
That's empty.
The smoky. Yeah, I know, but I smashed this one down last week, the smoky barbecue. What else have we had? We've had the teriyaki.
We've got the garlic. You just had
the garlic. The salt and vinegar one.
I haven't had that yet. I haven't brought that in yet. The original is what you like.
Oh, yeah, the original. We smashed that one down early.
So you can head to 3099jerky.com to get your jerky there. And Jules can attest it is very, very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. High in protein, no?
Very high in protein. And we're going to say David Derry over the other end there next to Jules. So they sell milk, coffee.
Apparently, they have the best ice cream in town. But
we will go.
I still haven't been.
Go to their concept store cafe in North Fitzroy when you get a chance to have some brunch there. They've got milk on tap. Believe it or not, you can fill up a milk bottle there off the tap. It's unbelievable.
All right. It's like being a baby again.
Your dad is in the chat.
What's he
saying
said?
He's available to come in. Do you remember the last time we did this show?
He actually did not bad,
He was all
to be
right.
honest. I mean, it was only for like 5 minutes, but
Yeah. But there's a reason I didn't call him.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think your dad, you need to get that through your head, Silv. You got to actually come to games of football to come on this show. Well, I won't talk about what we've done. What do we want to? I guess it's Easter festivities. You're at your parents'
Parents, family. Yeah, not much else. Obviously, my birthday, but I don't really do too much for my birthday other than if, like, well, we obviously had the joint birthday that we had a couple of weeks back.
Correct.
Because Belen's is on the 30th of March. Yeah, so that was nice.
That's it. I did the same. Not much. Actually, well, yeah.
I didn't know.
On good. Well, for the game, we didn't go to the game this year. I didn't get us
Yeah.
tickets. We missed out on the tickets, but ended up watching that at Mum and Dad's on Good Friday. We had some fish and chips and stuck around for a bit of dinner. They've got Easter Sunday dinner right now. They'll be watching live, so g'day everyone at the Adamo household. But and I'll be back there in about an hour. But yeah, did that, which was good. It's always nice to catch up with family over Easter, Christmas, those sort of things. It's good. The other big thing that happened that I know there's a few listeners that watch that are also wrestling fans like me. And this is Christmas. It's like Christmas for us wrestling fans this weekend because it's WrestleMania. WrestleMania is the biggest wrestling event of the year. I won't bang on about it too much, but it was night one today. There's 2 nights. That's how big this thing is these days. 2 nights they do it over. So night 1 today, night 2 tomorrow. And it was very good. Very good. They are firing on all cylinders at the moment.
Where is it this?
It's in
this
Vegas. And to be honest, on Monday, I got the itch and I thought, I'll cost it up, see how much it'll cost me to get over there. I could have got over there for about 3 or 4 grand total. Flights, accommodation, tickets.
For how long?
For like 5 days. Almost pulled the trigger. Almost did. Kind of spewing I didn't because it was really good today. And I reckon tomorrow's going to be even better. But anyway, I've been to one before. We'll go to another one eventually. But yeah, it was good. So I'm looking forward to that tomorrow as well to round out the long weekend. And then, I don't know, work will be pretty quiet, I think. Most people are away. I'm not taking any time off, but I doubt I'll be doing too much.
Yeah. Another big thing during the week was Arsenal as well, Joe. Good old Declan Rice.
Semi-finals, but we are going all the fucking way.
I think we are.
100% we're going
Yeah,
all the way.
I don't know. I feel like as if it's opening up for us, to be honest.
Mate, they just look like all of their focus is on Champions League trophy. That's it. That's it. How good did they look? In both legs. We just looked ridiculous. Ridiculous.
So we'll see what happens. But yeah, things look good.
What are your predictions for PSG? Which is, it's not
we're
far
home.
away.
We're home first. Partey's not playing the first leg. Obviously, he's got the second
It's
yellow.
not this week. It's next week.
I think it's next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's still not playing because he copped a yellow in the second leg.
We had 4 players
So-
on.
Yeah, and he was one of them.
On that
Rice was
limit?
having a go at him.
Yeah. So lucky it was only 1.
Yeah,
That resets.
so
I think it
what
resets
happens.
now.
Nah, so it resets
now.
after. I think I think he's suspended for the first
Yeah, no,
leg.
but I'm saying it's reset now. It reset after
Yeah,
the drip
correct.
game.
Yeah,
so
correct.
all those yellow cards
correct.
get wiped.
Yeah, all the other cards get wiped. But yeah, we'll see how we go. He'll be a loss. But obviously it's at home. So I mean, we bet them in the.
I was there.
Yeah, so we bet them what?
Bet him
like
2-0.
4 months ago, something like that. 5
Yep.
months ago. So
I'm expecting at least 2-3-0 at the Emirates. I think that.
I think if we win at the Emirates, I think we go into the second leg knowing that a draw will be enough and we'll be fine. I
know it's not a wrestling podcast or a football or a soccer podcast, but it's very exciting to be an Arsenal fan right now. It just is. It just looked like we'd have nothing to talk about 3 months ago with where the club was at injury wise and just Premier League was falling apart. But this is good. This is fun.
Yeah,
man. If you are with us and you haven't already, hit subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube live or watching on YouTube at any point, hit subscribe and hit that like button as well. Get into the live chat if you are watching live. And if you're listening on Spotify during the week, hit that follow button, hit the bell for auto updates on our episodes and hit that 5 stars. Helps us out. Jules, without any further ado.
Let's get into it.
Should I repeat what I just said? No, he won't be watching anyway. I just said it's better without Dan. We do the intros. No, it's always good to have
I don't know if it's more fluid or not.
I think it's more fluid when it's just two.
It's more robust.
When it's just two, not just Dan. I'm just saying. I think when it's just two, it is a lot easier to hold conversation.
It's an easier conversation.
Yeah, but also there's not three people trying to talk over the top of each other. That's our problem.
No,
anyway,
that's true.
match report from Friday, 11-5-71 North Melbourne. Carlton, 82-point winners, 24-9, 153. Goals for the Blues. We had 14 goal kickers, I think. Akers, Chera, Cripps, DeConning, Hewett, Young, 1 each. Durden and Lord kicked 2 each. Mottz and White kicked 3 each. And Charlie and Zach kicked 4 each. No injuries for the Blues, which was fantastic. 46,000 sellout at Marvel Stadium once again. We take the chocolates. Another Good Friday, Jules. I like this clash for us. It's just mark it down as a win.
Yeah, it is a bit like that. I mean, North's probably, I don't know, they're supposedly up and coming, but I feel like as if at the end of the day, you know, you have a look at their recent history. I mean, they've got a bit of talent, obviously, throughout the midfield, but we did discuss their defensive and probably forward half capabilities last week in the review. In the preview. But at the end of the day, I felt like as if it should have been, and it was an easy win in the end.
It was.
Like, don't you think, like in terms of where we should have been at by the end of the game?
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have asked for more from that performance. I think
no.
The criticism we had from the week prior with West Coast, even though we won by 70, was that it still didn't look that clinical. Like it looked like we were a bit sloppy at times. Whereas against North, we didn't miss a beat.
Yeah,
like it looked like we were playing perfect footy for the majority of that game.
The West Coast game was obviously it was a bit more lethargic.
It was hot.
It was hot. It was hot. And it looked like as if we were going through the motions. So at least that's what it seemed on the TV, on television. But I'm not sure, obviously, at the game. But it definitely did look like that. But against North Melbourne, it was scintillating footy, really, in terms of how powerful we were and how chaotically organised we were. Like, it was chaos in terms of our, the pressure that we're applying and so on. But
do you have any pressure stats?
I don't have like pressure. I know we're going. Oh man, I think North Melbourne was still going at like 190 at some stages or most stages, and we're going at 200 plus. I think it was like 215 at one stage.
Yeah.
I can't remember what quarter that was. But if you want to go into the small forwards, and I've got here Mottz, Durds, Williams, White, and Fogg. They all put on 28 tackles combined, and I think there was 23 tackles inside 50. Yeah. So, and I think it was 80, maybe 86 or 87 tackles for the game for us. And from memory, it was around 50 something for them. So,
but that's the profile for us.
That's exactly what it is.
That is, and I mean, I'll give a little bit of credit to the rhetoric out of the club from the coaching staff and the playing group from the start of the year. It's been tough. It has been tough to start the season. Started on 4. Obviously, dropped a game against Richmond that we should have never dropped, and probably dropped a game against the Dogs that we're in hindsight we probably should have won as well. So really, we should be 4-2. We're not. We're 2-4. But I'll give some credit to the rhetoric that they've stuck with around pressure and contest, because if that's what we're going to get, and I know, again, keeping it into perspective, it's only North, but if we're going to get that most weeks from here, I think that is the profile that will make us a much more competitive football side than what we've seen.
100%.
Our mids just got going, and it was like that's with the midfield group that we've got. That is what you expect at a bare minimum.
Yeah, and
in terms of the intent,
what I like about our midfield group as well. You got Hewett and Walsh. Hewett and Chera. They were the two highest rated midfielders on the ground. Yeah. Okay, because you got Walsh and Cripps. Walsh only had 22. He only had 22. So I still think he had like 6 tackles, 12 contested possessions. So again, it was about a 50-50 split in terms of contested and uncontested. And you could see that he was trying to get to space and get to the next contest. And you can see that in his game, like coming along very nicely over the last 2-3 weeks. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't need a lot of disposal to be damaging, particularly when he does have that space.
Yeah.
And then you got the likes of obviously Cripps. I mean, he had 17 touches. 1 goal, which was an outrageous goal on the left as well from the boundary, and then 9 tackles. So it just goes to show that I know it's against North, but their midfield, in terms of clearances, contested possessions, they're rated highly amongst the competition.
They are.
So
they don't have a bad midfield. I actually think North's midfield is very good. So strength.
So it's actually great to see that we were able to do what we did against a North outfit.
And I know the modern game, we've spoken about this so often, is about transition. And yes, it's a layer that we need to add, but I still firmly believe that this group looks at their very best when it is blistering from stoppage and when it's blistering from the contest and when we're just battering teams like we did, or battering midfield units like we did to North. Because like at the end of the day, when you've got a midfield of Cripps, Hewett, Chera, who can all extract, you got Walsh that can burst from stoppage, which we're actually seeing now. He's at the front of stoppage. He started, I know we spoke about it last week. I'm not saying I told you so, it's not this at all, but he did start on a wing a couple of times. So it looks like they have made the switch for him to become more of an outside player. Mottz is going through there to try and become a little bit more dynamic. I want to talk about that in a minute as well.
You got Williams too.
Williams goes through there. With the midfield dynamic that we can create, it has just never made sense to me why we still don't rely on that as our one would. We've spoken about this for years. And now you've got Tom in there who, regardless of your opinion on Tom, and I don't think he had that great a game against Cherry, to be honest, which is great to see. He didn't really influence the game like he probably could have, and we still battered him out of the midfield. But when you got a ruckman like that, who is a contested ruck, not necessarily a crafty hit-out ruck and your traditional type, you should be battering teams out of the middle every week. Geelong, in this coming week, our midfield's better than theirs. Like we should have them covered when it comes to stoppage and clearance. So I want to continue seeing that part of our game evolve.
It only works though when you have the manic and frantic and chaotic
100%.
Pressure that you have inside forward 50.
Yes,
and
because you can gain territory.
Yeah. So that's really the only and I've got a stat here. I can't remember where I got it from, but I thought this was crazy. I think it was like 94 points from like forward half turnovers that we scored.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
94 points.
And this is where like some people can read into the turnover stats a little bit too much, but at the end of the day, you don't necessarily have to turn over the ball in your back half and transition. The point in our territory game, which made us so good in the back half of 2023, was we were gaining territory out of stoppage. We'd lock the ball in our front half, and teams just could not get out.
And the thing is, as well, with the likes of players that we do have behind the ball, so with the Haynes now, especially with the JSOS, who, you've seen that he's able to take a contested mark or an intercept mark, and the likes of Wiedering and McGovern. In terms of his closing ability to close down contests, and even Sard, it makes sense in terms of that's the game that they're actually going to. It's just that we haven't really seen it, over the course of the first 3-4 games. We probably saw it in the first half in those games, and I don't think
and
I don't
just
think
not consistently,
and I don't think like it was and I know we've stated it. I don't think it was a fitness thing. I don't think that. I think it was more of a confidence and a continuity and mental thing that we weren't able to come across and get over. But in saying that, I know we're sort of going back a little bit in terms of previous podcasts. I reckon they were banking on getting those 2 wins to be 4-2 coming into this round.
And this is when I think they believe that they'd be starting to peak a little bit as a group.
Yeah, and if you actually have a look at it, how many injuries do we have that are like
not
obscure?
Many. Yeah, not many.
Or sorry, that aren't
like
obscure.
soft tissue.
Yeah,
there's not many. I can't really think of one that's soft tissue.
Where I reckon if you go, round 6 or round 7
last year, we already had 12 on the list. I remember.
Yeah, so hopefully, fingers crossed, touch wood. I don't know if this is wood.
It is wood,
but touch wood that this continues, because if we keep going on the trajectory that we are going. At the moment, I know it's only against West Coast. I only know it's against North. But if the first halves of the first 4 games are anything to go by, the last 2 games going into Geelong. Who else have we got? Geelong. Is it St Kilda, Adelaide, Sydney, GWS, or something like that? Their next 4 or 5 games.
Geelong, Adelaide, St Kilda, Sydney, GWS.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and going into those five games, if we can win 3 or 4 of those 5. It really sets us up for the back half of the year.
I'm going to let you keep talking. I'm going to ask you a question because I need to hit record on the camera and on the roadcaster, so we've got some audio for the week when I put our little minis together. But what I want to ask you on that note, before I do this, and I'll let you answer, keeping into perspective that it is West Coast and that it is just North, right? But looking at how we played as a team, my apologies, the audio dropped out. I think that was our most cohesive performance across our lines from forward to mid
this
to
season.
back half. Yeah.
I feel like as if it was.
Audio went when I started the question. So if you want to reiterate, and I'll go have a look.
No, so Joe was just questioning how he's seen that this game was the most consistent that we have had across the three lines of midfield, forward, and defence. And obviously, there's no shadow of doubt that it was. But again, it is against North, and are they going to have confidence in order to be able to, go on with it? I think they have, and I think you can see it by their attitudes that they have amongst themselves, and even in terms of how they've been celebrating. They haven't really been celebrating the goals. They've been celebrating, the defensive pressure or the assist, all those types of little things. Not really celebrating the person that actually kicked the goal. And it also goes to show in terms of Charlie. I know we're having a go at him. Oh, not me, but some of us were having a go at him about the handball last week against West Coast and him being a bit unselfish. Mm-hmm. He did it again on the weekend. Mm-hmm. He could have had a shot a couple of times, but he was able to dish it out. And I just feel like as if that's a better attitude to have. You go back to when Richmond were humming or starting to hum. Rewalt I think had. I think he won maybe 2 Colemans, and he didn't win the Colemans when they were when they were winning premierships.
I think prior to that,
it was correct. This is what I'm saying. When he started to get a lot more unselfish, be a bit more directive in terms of the forward line, and being able to apply pressure. Charles was applying pressure on the weekend.
Yeah, he was.
A little bit more.
No, he did, 100%. So, he looked, and to be honest, I loved that he was leading into space.
And he was.
But it wasn't just him. So and you can go back, there's footage, I think Fox Footy looked at it, but if you go back and watch the replay, at any point, you'll see what I'm about to say. Our smalls worked for him off the ball. They were blocking, they were creating space, they were diverting. They were Lewis Young, a couple of times he played brilliantly in terms of a decoy option where he'd lead into space, not necessarily expecting to get the ball, but it opened up a leading lane for Charlie. And this is exactly what made us good in 2023 in the back half. I remember in the Gold Coast game in apologies, guys. We'll just have to push through with his audio tonight, and Jordan might have to come in next week and sort it out. But in back half of 2023, that's what made us good, was that selflessness in the forward half in particular. And it wasn't just necessarily with ball in hand, but it's off the ball as well. And I started to see a little bit more of that against North. Didn't necessarily see it against West Coast, but I definitely saw it this week. Yeah.
The thing is, though, Joe, I don't just see it in our forward half. You have a little stats of Chera, of a Hewett, and like TDK in terms of hit outs, I think Sherry had 43, 44 hit outs, and I think TDK had about 24 hit outs or something like that. But it was what TDK was able to do after the ruck contest in terms of blocking and shepherding and putting on his tackling, and pressure around the ball. To enable the others to extract the footy to dish it out to other players coming through. So, and even in defence, you see other players, and it was probably at the ground you'll probably able to see it a lot better in terms of players rolling off players to help and support their team out as well. So. I know we saw it. I think it was easier to see it in the forward half on the weekend or on Friday, because the game was played in our forward half.
It was played front half for the majority of the game,
and because of that, it was easier to see it there. But I feel like if you were at the game, you would have been able to see this as well across all the areas of our game.
So I firmly believe that only good teams have the ability to do what we've done the last 2 weeks. I don't think so, and if you think about it this way, do you think North Melbourne can do what we did to West Coast? I say no. Do you think West Coast can do what we did to North?
No.
No. So clearly we're not a poor side, right? So this idea that we're going to be a bottom 4 side and we're going to be a bottom 6 side and we're not going to progress and we're going to go so far backwards, I think we've answered that question. We're so far above those types of teams. The question now is, can they do that against teams that are in and around us, right? And when I say in and around us, I don't mean 12th. I don't mean 10th. I mean 6th to 8th at a minimum. Top 4 sides, they're always going to be competitive. We've played 2 of them already in Collingwood and the Hawks, and you look at the final margin, sure, on those days, I think the scoreboard flattered us a little bit, but we still didn't get smashed by these sides either, so we're not too far off. The point is that I'm trying to make, I think we've made a fair shake of round 1 as not just as a footy community, but I think us as Carlton fans, I think we've probably been a little bit scarred by the round 1 performance. Do you agree that we're not at that level, and that I don't think we should worry that we're going to finish bottom 6? I don't think that's going to be us. I think we will still be in the hunt come end of season.
I don't see us being in the bottom 6 by the end of the season. Yeah, I just think we're too good for that, at least, especially if we remain healthy. And I just reckon, I think sometimes as well, like coming from behind. Does that make sense? So if you're coming from behind in terms of like putting yourselves under the pump, sometimes it's a lot easier to actually perform, even when you're under that sort of pressure and scrutiny, because you want to make sure you do everything right to make sure that it turns. So, and we have seen that in the 2023 run. You know, we did see that. You know, and we've sort of seen it on the opposite as well, where we start the season hot in terms of like win-loss, you know, in the likes of 2022 and 2024. But you saw the second half of the year sort of we died out.
Yep.
So, I mean, I see glimpses of 2024 if we're able to get... Sorry, 2023.
Yep.
If we're able to get another 2, 3 wins out of the next 3 or 4, and then all of a sudden we start getting on a roll on confidence, and you know, you get Harry back as well, and he gets up and running and the like. And the sky's the limit for us, I feel.
I still think we have a much higher ceiling than what we've shown. I agree with that, and I'm trying to keep this in perspective with who we've beaten, because we still have not beaten a team outside of the bottom 4 for the last 16 weeks of football.
I think it was Geelong.
Since that Geelong game.
Yeah.
We've only beaten Richmond, North and West Coast. There's 3 teams that we've beaten. And that's still the case, even with the 2 wins this year. However, they're big wins. We didn't beat North like this last year. We actually struggled when we played them the second time around. Even against Richmond, I remember that first half, and I remember looking at it going, that's not even close to good enough. We beat them by 60 in the end. We had a good last quarter. They just died away, but it wasn't a complete performance. This one here is the first time I've seen a complete performance from this group since that Geelong game. So I think keeping all of that into perspective, and the fact that it is still poor opposition, I still think it looked good. I still think if we played with that intent against most other sides in the comp, I'm not going to say all, but most other sides in the comp on Friday, if it wasn't North, let's say it was an Essendon or a not Melbourne, but if it was a Freo or an Adelaide, for instance, I still think we get over the line playing that football.
Yeah, and you know the thing is as well, like I'm just going through the matches of the week. You know, Collingwood beat Brisbane by 50. Mm-hmm. Like, did we really see that coming?
No.
Not at the Gabba.
Hey, how much does footy change in a month, really, when you think about it, right?
A week.
Yeah.
You know, you got Essendon beating West Coast by 2 points. You know, you got Melbourne. They haven't won a game and they beat Freo. I know Freo probably struggle at the MCG in terms of travelling, etc. But, you know, in terms of footy tipping this week, it's a joke.
Yeah.
I probably only got 2. I'm fuming. You know, GWS only kicked 34 points.
I mean, Essendon only got over the line by 2 points against the Eagles.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But GWS, 34 points they only kicked against Adelaide.
Was it wet? I didn't watch that game.
I don't know, but
52-34 is a low-scoring game.
Yeah.
And Adelaide, both Adelaide and GWS are high-scoring teams.
You know, Richmond beat Gold Coast Suns.
Yeah. We're not the only side that have lost to them this year. And
This
apparently,
is what I'm
and
saying.
in the lead up to that game, the Suns are being touted as a potential premiership favourite with the way they've started.
Correct. Well,
you know?
they've won 4 games.
Now they've lost to the Tigers, just like we did. So this is the point. Like now we're 6 weeks in. We're only just starting to get a grasp on where I think teams are at.
I still think you need another. What's this, round 6?
You still need at least another 2, 3, 4 weeks.
I reckon another. I reckon around 11, around 12.
The bye. The bye is when you look at it. And go,
around the bye. That's when you're going to know where teams are. But if you haven't, have a look at that stretch of 5-6 weeks before the bye. Those I think are the teams that are usually going to be more primed going into the back half of the year.
Agree. And I think so. Over the next month, we're really going to see where we're at. And I hope you're right with what you're saying around this belief that we've got that the club would have set themselves for a 4-2 start, and this is when they would have gone, all right, now we can attack the fixture. I hope that mentality hasn't changed, and I hope that they've got the group to a point physically and fitness-wise and mentally and everything that now over the next month they can really start to build some good form.
I would be shocked if most clubs that know that they're very, very close to a premiership tilt wouldn't plan this way.
Yeah, agree.
I would be very shocked.
It's how it's planned across the majority of elite sport.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Well, you need to be primed. You need to be ready for the right time of the
That's
year,
right.
which is
and
the
right
month
time of the
before
year
the
isn't
finals.
round 1. And as disappointing as it was, you got to move on. And you can see now that Richmond aren't necessarily the worst side we've ever seen. They just beat the Suns.
Yeah.
Pretty well as well. Like they controlled that game for almost 4 quarters. The Suns gave a late charge. So you take all that into consideration. The one thing I look at is, I think what I've learned, and I'm not saying that this is how, like, we might get on here next week and we lose by 10 goals to the Cats. I don't know, right? I don't know. I don't think it's going to play out that way. But I think as fans, especially us as supporters of this club, we're a bit fickle at times and we don't necessarily let the process play out like it should. I think.
Yeah. Well,
I think
it's an emotional game.
It is. It's very emotional. And the fact that we've been patient for so long, and then you see the way that we started the season, you're thinking, fuck, like, what are we doing here? But I think it's a learning for a lot of us that, yeah, like, as much as we wanted Voss to hammer him in press conferences to start the year, which is actually showing a little bit more of a blunt side to him, which I like. But as much as we wanted him to hammer him and go, it's not good enough, you know, we're just not the team that we want to be, blah, blah, blah. Them saying there's still 23 weeks to go, yeah, like, there's still 18 weeks to go from here. You know, so anything can, literally anything can happen. I'm not saying that we're going to win the flag. I'm not saying we're even going to play finals. I'm just saying, like you went through there, it can change within a matter of weeks. So who knows where we're going to be by the time we get to round 8. We could be 5-4 by the time we get to... I feel like when I go to my phone, that's happened 3 times.
It's impossible.
My phone's connected to my laptop through notes. I don't know if there's anything in that, but every time I've gone to my phone, the audio cuts out. I swear.
Impossible.
All right.
Notes.
I'm not going to touch my notes for the rest of the pod, and we'll see what happens. Anyway, as I was saying, letting the process play out, and I think we've spoken about it on the podcast already this season. Defensive profile, 3rd least points conceded in the comp. We've got a percentage of 122, which is, I think, is the 6th best, and we're sitting in 10th or something, or 12th at the moment.
Yeah.
Long term, do you agree that getting your defensive profile right and your processes around those structures is going to hold us in good stead for the rest of the season? Because what I'm seeing now is that there's a little bit of fruits of our own labour by hammering those defensive philosophies into the group and sticking by that regardless of outcome.
Yeah,
to this point.
Everyone knows the saying, you know, that forwards win games, defenses win premierships.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or trophies, however you want to put it, depending on what sport you sort of follow.
Yep.
Okay. I absolutely agree. But I also feel like as if the best form of attack is your defense.
Yep.
And what I mean by that is, and a lot of teams, discuss this, and in terms of their wording behind it is, and you can even, if you watch soccer as well, they defend and they defend a certain way, whether it's, a high press, which is sort of like what we do in a way, because we get the ball inside 50 and try to lock it in.
Yep.
Very chaotic, very, very manic pressure is put on, and then we try to, force the turnover, or a repeat entry, because it's a rush kick out of their opposition's D50. So, I feel like as if that's true in a way, but definitely for us. And I feel like as if, where certain players are positioned defensively, you look at some players, White, Williams, Mottz, those types of players that play higher up the ground. Once they're in a defensive position to stop, them from moving the ball from one side of the field to the other, or, try to hit up a target, they cause a turnover, but in a split second, they're inside forward 50, receiving the ball to kick a goal.
Yeah.
So they're setting themselves up defensively to go forward.
And it helps. It also
score.
helps us enter more efficiently when you get those repeat entries, right?
Yeah.
And it's what we saw in the back half of 2023 with the likes of Cunningham, Martin, and Fogarty. They were the three that came in, right, at that Gold Coast game, and they made the world of difference. They played those high half forward roles. That they brought the pressure from basically high half forward all the way up to high half back if they needed to try and win the ball back, and then they locked it in. They were the three that we looked at and went, fuck, these guys are having massive impact here.
Yeah.
If Durds can keep doing what he's doing, which has been phenomenal since he's come back in, again, albeit with the opposition that we played, if Mottz can keep progressing in the way that he's progressing, I'm actually pretty impressed with what I've seen with Mottz. I know a lot of people aren't, and I want to talk about Mottz in a minute, but I'm pretty impressed with what I'm seeing with Mottz at the moment in terms of his development. If Zach Williams can keep hitting the scoreboard as that third option up forward, especially once Harry comes in, and if Will White can come on and play a role, I can't see that group not clicking. And to Voss's point, and to your point last week around how many games they've played, how many games have they actually played together? The three, leave Will White out of it, but Zach Williams, Corey Durden, Jesse Mottl, I reckon that's their second game together.
It would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Durden's barely played last year. So as a forward group, right? So I think you give them enough time to gel, it will start. It just has to start to click when you get some consistency among the group. So yeah, I like what I saw. I'm not necessarily saying it is the turning point, but I think you can take a lot of positives out of that one. But versus last week, I wasn't really taking too many positives out of the Eagles win.
Yeah, and if you you have a look at Voss's press conference as well. He was a lot more confident in terms of the performance and output from the team because it was more of a four-quarter performance. So, are we buying in too much? I don't think so.
No.
I feel like as if it's just something. It's provided a little bit of spark potentially and an encouragement in terms of the outlook of the season and in terms of how it could end up.
I think for all of us, not just the playing group, and not just the club. I think for all of us. Like I'm going into the Geelong game next week. We're a chance.
I think we're more of a
chance
against Geelong. To be honest,
we're a chance at the G,
especially at the G.
Yeah. Right. I want to talk about a few players, and I want to start with Mottz. We're going to start with Mottz.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with Mottz. I spoke about maybe our supporter base being a little bit fickle at times and a little bit quick to judge. I jumped on the team show on Wednesday or Thursday with Tez because I was reading in the live chat. A lot of people, when the teams dropped, obviously Doc was dropped, omitted, which had to happen.
I was happy. We spoke about it last.
I think yeah.
As well. Just on that, I think the way Voss spoke about it in the presser, the pre-game presser, I think that's the way it needed to be handled as well in terms of his vocabulary that he did use.
100%. He
was honest. It was open.
We've said it for weeks, and he's just got to go find some touch. That's it, basically, right? So they drop Doc. They bring in Young, right? And the live chat and the team show straight away, everyone just jumping on Young, going, he's hopeless, he's useless. Why would you even play him, this and that? Then I'm looking at comments about Motlop playing out of the middle. And why do we have him in there? He's useless. He turns it over more than he should just be a small forward, right? Just play him where he needs to play. There's comments about Nick Haynes still, which still comments about Nick Haynes. Why is Nick Haynes getting picked every week? He's hopeless, this and that. I'm just reiterating what I'm reading. This isn't necessarily what I think at all. Because I jumped on the team show, had a chat with Tez, and I'll reiterate basically what I said. I think it's very disappointing that we still jump to these sorts of conclusions so quickly on this playing group and about certain players. Now, we have spoken on this podcast, I'll be very frank, about this season already, that we believe that there are certain players that aren't up to it, and there are certain players on this list that probably will still need to be looked at the end of the year. I think that's just the progression and natural evolution of the list. But when you look at the reality of the season so far, and you look at names like Mottz, Haynes, and Young, who have been whipping boys to this point, I don't really understand it, to be honest. Young's come in for 4 or 5 games as a forward, predominantly, and a pinch hit ruck. I can't actually see where he's put a foot wrong. He's kicked goals. He's been a decoy forward. He's played to his ability, and he's played to the position that he's basically been brought into play. I don't think he hasn't been a detriment.
I think he's actually done more than his ability.
Agree.
Well, not his ability. I wouldn't say that, because I think he has a lot to offer. But I feel like as if when he doesn't have confidence, he's very poor.
Agree.
But he's doing and he does everything that he can to try and do the right thing to build back, in terms of his confidence and so on. And I don't think he's in our best team.
No, he's not.
He's not in our best team.
But
when he's
need
in,
those
he's
players.
been performing.
You need those players.
He's been performing.
Correct. He has
and he's been putting more. He's done more than some other players.
The reality of the situation is that I caught it that time before I literally saw it pop up. He has genuinely performed when he's been called upon. Nick Haynes, outside of round 1, give me a game where he's been poor.
He hasn't.
Right. So I still don't understand.
But it's our defense hasn't been poor.
No, it hasn't. No. I agree.
So,
I actually agree. I think behind the ball we've been fine. But the point is, he has been a whipping boy in the back six. He has been the one that everyone has looked at to go, why are we playing him? You look at the reality of the situation, I don't think he's done much wrong. I think he holds his spot because he plays so consistently. And the third one was Mottz out of the middle, right? There were comments about Mottz playing out of the middle. And I said it on the team show, and I said, just give him a chance. How is he going to develop into a player that can pinch hit out of the centre bounce for us, like a Papley does, like a Ginnivan does at times for the Hawks, or what he did for Collingwood, for instance, and be an effective pinch hit small at centre bounce if you're not going to give him a chance to develop there?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Absolutely.
Caught it, though. I've caught it. I'm getting better at catching this audio. Don't worry. Against North, I distinctly remember 2 or 3 centre bounces where Mottz was the one breaking away from the contest.
Yeah. I remember watching the VFL last year and the year prior when obviously Mottz was down in the VFL playing, and I actually saw him a lot of times starting in the centre square. So he has done it at VFL level. Whether that's able to transpire and move up to AFL level is, it's still to be seen in terms of that consistent base, okay? And being able to do it consistently. But, man, like if you have a look at his numbers are pretty good. Like, I think he had 9 tackles or something like that, or something ridiculous, no?
Yep.
He had 9 tackles. So for a small forward, obviously playing a little bit higher up the ground, it's sort of what you want to see. So 9 tackles, 3 goals, 13 possessions. Obviously, he did go up the ground a bit more.
But it's impact. 13 possessions, it's all impact.
It is all impact. And I'd like just to see in terms of score involvement, 6 score involvements from the 13 touches, 1 goal assist, and obviously the 3 goals.
Yeah.
And he went at 75%.
How many clearances he had?
Clearances?
Had to be at least 2.
Give me 2 seconds. Clearances.
All the way down the bottom.
How far? Oh, yeah, there. We've got 1.
He had 1. I think that was from the centre bounce. That's the one that I remember. Yeah. So this is the thing. Like, you trust in that process and you trust in being able to develop those players in those positions. You're going to see that eventually be a positive.
Yeah.
You can't just give up because of the first 3 or 4 games of the season. Mottz has had a couple of errors coming out of the centre bounce. I'd rather him take the game on and learn from those mistakes.
The thing is as well is I love what we're doing in the centre bounces too. So obviously the likes of Mottz, even Williams. I know Williams probably had a couple of centre clearances too. I know I remember one. But you got the likes of, Walsh, Hewett, Cripps, and Chera. But in saying that, like Hewett and Chera, they were the mainstays in there on the weekend.
We'll talk about Hewett after this.
They were the mainstays. And then you had, obviously the Walsh and Cripps, and you had the Mottz and the Williams go through as well. So we had 6 going through there.
Yep.
Probably even at one stage, I reckon I even saw Cooper Lord go through there once he was subbed on as well. So within the game, there's 7 players going through there. So I just think it adds a variety of dimensions to our game. And with the likes of Mottz, Cooper Lord going through there, even if Zach Williams, he does have that burst, it just gives us a different dimension to actually move the ball and extract the footy and something different that opponents probably haven't
won't set up for.
Yeah, they haven't set up for as well.
But this is the thing. This has been the criticism of our midfield unit for years, is that it's just so vanilla. Like, you got so many bulls in there. You go to the same combination so many times. I think last year the combo of Hewett, Walsh, and Cripps was the most used combination at centre bounce by like 20 after across the course of like 4 rounds or something, or 6 rounds. And if you continue to go back to the well, opposition are going to know exactly how you're going to try and extract the ball from those situations.
You need to do it against these sides as well. So what I'm saying is you need to test it against these sides.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, and in saying that, if Walsh isn't in the centre bounce and Cripps is in the centre bounce, then what are they doing? They're resting up forward or on the wing or on the, in terms of that kind of.
It now allows Walsh to go outside onto a wing, and it allows Walsh to get outside of the contest where he's not extracting, because you've got other players that can step up.
Yeah.
So I like what I'm seeing there. I'm with you. Let's talk about George Hewett, because not only do I think he is leading our BNF by the length of Flemington Straight at the moment, he is. There's no doubt. I think he's a bit of a smoky to be right up there in the Brownlow at this point.
Well, I think I said last week All Australian at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. He's has to be in the AA conversation at the moment. He's been phenomenal. I think, is he leading the comp for disposals? I know he's close. He was 3rd before this game, and what's he had? Another 30.
Yeah, 34 or 39.
Yeah, 30. I think it was another 39.
I think it was 39. What I've written down here, but I'll have to check.
While Jules is checking, just for everyone tuning in, I do apologise for the audio. We're trying to, between myself and Jordan, we're trying to work out exactly what's going wrong. But I'm getting on top of it. You don't have to leave comments in the live chat each time to tell me the audio's dropped out. I could see it, but I do appreciate everyone trying to help us out. We'll get this sorted. Don't stress. It won't be like this forever.
He's still 3rd behind Whitfield and Dacos.
So how many disposals has he had this year?
182.
In 6 games. Like, this is a guy that we got as a free agent that was supposed to be the 3rd mid in the rotation, and the guy that was more the defensive, 2-way tagger type that you can call on to go to a Nick Dacos and whatnot. And it's not necessarily about winning his own ball and having that impact with ball in hand, mate. He's been electric to watch.
Yeah,
electric.
His ability to do both as well.
Yeah,
his ability to negate as well as obviously extract the footy and dish it out, and even hit the scoreboard recently too. He's come leaps and bounds, but he's only able to do that because of Cripps isn't in there, Walsh isn't in there, and so on. He's sort of become,
he's been the only one that's been consistent in there, really, as that extractor. He's the main one.
He's been the mainstay.
Yeah, agree. It also helps that his body's good, and I don't want to go too early. Again, touch wood. That I'm not saying this too early, but from what we can see, and we spoke about it a little bit earlier, their bodies are holding up. And these are players that have come off interrupted pre-seasons or really interrupted prior seasons, especially Hewett with his back, Walsh with his back. They look like they're firing on all cylinders, and you've got to give some sort of credit at this point to how quickly they've turned that fitness program around with Robbie Ness coming in. You probably do, right? Like, I think we're almost at that point where you can look at it and go,
yeah,
there's
I
clearly
think it's early stages. I'd like to probably reflect on it maybe towards the back end of the year, because we just know that there's going to be a patch where there are a few injuries, and because it's inevitable, all right? But I sort of want to see how we actually deal with it and manage it, to be honest, and how they come back for it. Because if they, redo a hammy after coming back for a week or two, then I'll be sort of questioning
Yep.
things. But what I have liked to see what I have liked is the way they've been managing things. You have a look at Williams. Only last week or was the week before.
The calf or whatever it was.
The calf, straight off.
Yep.
I was against the doggies.
Yep.
Calf, straight off, felt it, see you later. Even Winnering on the weekend.
Yep.
Off, see you later. Not even going to worry about
knee
it.
knock.
Little knee knock. All right, see you later. At one stage, I think our bench was Winnering, Charlie,
At the end of the game.
TDK,
So funny
and
to
Cripps.
see. Yeah, it was so funny to see. That's a luxury that you've got when you can do that, and you should be doing that.
Yeah.
Whereas last year, that wasn't the case.
Yeah, but it just goes to show that obviously we're in that position to be able to do it.
Yeah, but
we're
you know
doing
what?
it.
No,
We're
but you know
doing it,
what?
though.
I'll call it. I'll call it for what it is. There was a quote from Andrew Russell, right, at a certain stage in his time at the club, where and I'll paraphrase, but it was to the words of, "You have to push players' bodies past their limit to know where the limit is." Basically, you got to redline them all the time. That's. I'm sorry, but. It's true to an extent. I'm not an expert in the field, but I've spoken to Dan enough about this to know that is true to an extent. When you've got players' bodies that are breaking down consistently, you've got to back off at some stage and you have to manage them. They weren't getting managed. We're now seeing that we're managing even the slightest niggle. Like, I still think Walsh's preseason wasn't necessarily hampered all that much. I reckon it was a little niggle and they've gone, keep him out of main training. We'll ramp him up very, very slowly to make sure that he doesn't have another setback.
But you're seeing the fruits of it now. I know he didn't have a great game on the weekend, but in terms of the way he was running
but he's
and
getting
moving
through the games. That's right, and the way he's moving, and the way that he can get to an outside ball, and the way that he can find space again. It looks different. You can't say that their fitness doesn't look different. Even in the losses, the fitness. We said it the whole time. I don't believe that we're not fit. You've said it all season. I don't believe that we're not fit. I actually think we are running our games. They don't look lethargic.
Yeah, even there's another player. I think Chera had how many hammies in 4.
I'm catching him quick.
Even Chera, he had 4 or 5 in 18 months.
Yep.
He obviously played, the preseason games, the 2. So essentially he's played 8 games of footy.
Yep.
So, it just goes to show.
He looks like he's...
And he looks very, very good. And I think Buckley just said, he's going to get, 23, 24 touches a game and be consistent and so on. But, no, you forget that he basically didn't play for a year and a half.
That's right. Continued to break down.
Yeah, because he was breaking down. And it wasn't because he wasn't a good footy player. In the 2023 season, before he missed the last 4 or 5 games or whatever it was, he was leading our BNF. So he's got the talent. It's just he's putting it together now and he's a lot more confident in his body.
Touch wood, it continues. And in another 6 weeks' time, we can revisit the conversation and go, yeah, you know what? Robin S., well done. That's what I want to be able to sit here and say halfway through the season to go, we look like we're now ready to peak, like we haven't even reached our potential yet. So, see, that's it. I got one more to talk about, player, before we move on. You got anything else?
No.
Jack Silvagni.
Mm-hmm.
Is another one that I see from fans. And I'm not saying that you're wrong, that your opinion's wrong. Don't take it that way. But it's just shitting me a bit when I see fans telling me Sauce has to play as a forward. He's been our second best defender all year. Do we now stop that conversation and go, no, he's at home. That's it. He's not a swingman anymore. Let him develop there over the next. I'm getting very, very quick at jumping onto this. If it's going to keep dropping out like that, that's going to be tough. Try again.
I'm neither here or there. Look, for me, he's better. Not a better defender. I wouldn't say it like that. I feel like as if he's better to play defense in our team, purely because it enables another forward that's potentially smaller in terms of pressure and movement, and I think it just suits us a lot more. I don't think you need the 3 talls. I think you have, the likes of Harry and Charlie up there, and I think that's enough for me. when Harry comes back, then TDK can go rest forward, and Harry wants to pinch it in the ruck. He pinches it in the ruck.
But I even think bringing in Lewis Young when Harry is out, that's the move. It's not moving Silvagni forward. It's not moving Silvagni forward. It's stick with it.
I think that's fine, but I also think it depends on who you play against. So I think against North, you probably had the 3 tools. So you could play JSOS, Haynes, and Wiedering on those 3, and then you had Gov as the spare. In terms of that intercept marking ability. So I think it matches up nicely. But if you have, some teams who only have maybe the 1 or 2 tools, then I think it's a little bit different in terms of the way you operate things.
Yeah, agree.
So I think that, like in terms of selection, it might change there. But do I want to see JSOS flipping forward, flipping back? No. I think he's a mainstay defender.
That's it now. That's it. Peter V, I like this. Please hit. I want to test this. Hit the like button if you think Sos should stay as a defender. Leave a comment in either the live chat or in the comments section if you think that he should be playing forward. And I reckon there's going to be a lot more likes and comments on that one at this point. And if there's not, I'd just be shocked. All right, I think that's it for the review. Let's go to Livy.
Hey everybody, it's Livy with Livy's Last Words, and this is what I thought about the game. What a win. Absolutely amazing. So happy we beat North Melbourne by 82 points. I mean, the boys played absolutely amazing. We absolutely dominated in our forward. Like, we need to play like that every match. Like, can we please play like that? A full game of footy. Like, it was amazing. But, anyways, I have to say, the North Melbourne supporters, God damn, they annoyed me so much. You don't even know how much they annoy me. Like, can't they just sit down? Like, it's not the freaking umpire's fault you lost by nearly 100 points. Like, what? But anyways, we played a full match of footy, which was amazing. In the fourth quarter, at like the first 2 minutes, when they scored like 2 goals or 3, I was very scared. Like, I was like, come on, boys. But then we just came back. We're just amazing, honestly. Charlie Curnow scoring 3 goals, very good. Mottz played absolutely amazing in the fourth quarter. I reckon that was so good. 3 goals from him. And Bill White kicking 3 goals was absolutely amazing. I'm so happy for him. He just played absolutely amazing. Corey Durden played pretty good as well. I reckon Zach Williams as well played amazing. In our defence, Wiedering played amazing. I was a bit scared when he was limping, but... And also, Tom De Koning, absolutely my favourite, Tom De Koning. Dominated Tom De Koning. He dominated. But anyways, this is what I thought about the game. Go the Blues!
No, she's a ripper, Liddy. We're going to try and get through this preview quickly, just while my laptop is still holding up on the audio. I reckon I've figured out what this might be, but I'll run through it with Jordan during the week. We're going to run through a preview now. We've got Geelong, Saturday, 4:35, the G.
Is it 4:35?
Is it one of those games? It's my favourite time.
I thought it was 4:20.
Saturday, 4:35.
3:20.
3:20. Anyway, it's still a good time at the G on a Saturday. Yeah, I mean... Geelong, still tough to get a read on them, but they're just probably the most consistent side in the AFL, really, over the last 10 years. So you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a competitive outfit week to week. It's very, very rare that Geelong do drop off. But the last time we played them, they did drop their standards. We were 10 to 15% better, and we absolutely smoked them. So that's the last look we had at them. But since then, things have changed quite drastically for us, and I feel like they have just sort of kept ticking along. They've added Bailey Smith to their midfield mix, and Patrick Dangerfield is now basically a mainstay forward. How do you see it?
I think it's going to be an interesting game. I still think around the ball that we should be able to go with them. I think structurally, though, they're a very, very good team. So I think it might be interesting to see how that goes. But I feel like as if our midfield can sort of get on top and get the forward the ball running forward. It's going to be interesting to see if our forwards can do what they've been doing the last couple of weeks. Because if they are able to, put on that manic pressure in which they have been doing, I feel like as if it's going to go a long way in us winning the game. I think that's going to be the benchmark there.
Yeah, I've been corrected. It's Sunday, not Saturday. Sunday 3:20. That would have been. If I didn't realise that, I would have rocked up on Saturday. Genuinely, I agree. I think we just have to back that up now. What we've seen this week in particular, but also against West Coast, we need to back that up. We cannot revert to what we saw in the first 4 weeks as a group. They have to come out believing that they can beat Geelong and believing that they can beat them playing the type of footy that gets the absolute best out of this group, which is pressure, which is contest, which is tackling. It's all the foundations that this team has been built on under Michael Voss for the last 4 years that has made us what we are when we're at our best. I think if we can do that, I don't just think we're a chance. I think we're probably close to a 50-50, to be honest, at a bare minimum.
Yeah, I think it can go any way.
Yeah. As long as we turn up.
I think if we turn up, we win.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
I think our best is better, but they're more consistent than us.
They are.
I think that's the difference.
100%.
Yeah. But I just think that's the difference.
I know what Geelong we're going to get on Saturday. Oh, Sunday. I know the Geelong that we're going to get on Sunday. I've actually watched a fair bit of him this year. I'm pretty impressed with the likes of Smith and the way that he's integrated into that midfield. I think he's very, very damaging. His weakness is his defensive two-way ability. So you can expose that if your turnover game and your intercepting game is as strong as what it has been the last couple of weeks for us. So if we can lean on that, you can expose him. Max Holmes is one that breaks the lines for them. If you can stop his influence, especially through the corridor, I think that goes a long way to winning the game. Jeremy Cameron's one that's given us headaches. He usually kicks 5 when he plays us. That's pretty consistent over the past, I think, 3 or 4 games from memory.
Out of the 3, who do you reckon goes to him?
It's difficult this year because there's no Hawkins, right? So in the past, I would have said McGovern, just because Cameron would have floated up the ground a little bit more. He still does, but I think he also needs to play a little bit more of a deeper forward as a target at times. I think it has to be Wiedering.
You reckon?
I know Shannon Neal's there as well, who's a big forward. So, and that's probably more a one-on-one matchup for Wieders just traditionally, is that really big, bulky key forward.
Yeah.
So if he goes to Neal, it's probably going to be Silvagni.
I think Silvagni goes to
on Cameron. I think Sauce is probably dynamic enough.
I think he understands, like even going up the grounds, I think J Sauce has the footy smarts to be able to go with Cameron, I reckon.
Yeah, probably Sauce. If it's not Wieders. Dangerfield has actually looked pretty good at times. I think he's moulded into that forward role pretty quickly. I think that's McGovern's role.
Yep, I can see that going.
I think he's got the explosiveness to be able to stay with him if Dangerfield gets out on a lead. But I also just think we just have to play our game. We've just got to back in our own system in our process and make Geelong match up on us. Like we can sit here and talk about how we have to match up on every single one of their players and there's people in the chat saying let's stop Tom Stewart. Like that's not how we've played this year. We haven't played a lockdown forward role on any halfback.
Yeah, I mean I remember, was it last year? Was it last year against Geelong? Do we play them twice last year?
We did. First time around was when Akers kicked those 2 goals in the last quarter with like 3 minutes to go to get us back within like a kick or something. 2 kicks.
Yeah, I'm also talking about, I can't remember, but I think it was always who played that role in Tom Stewart. Wasn't it him? Was it him last year?
Chincotta maybe?
Or Cincotta? Yeah, it was Cincotta. Yeah, it was Cincotta. So I could see that happening, but I mean, I don't know who would do that.
But also don't want it to happen because if straight onto it. Go. Try again.
I don't see us selecting someone that's out of the squad coming in to play that role on a Tom Stewart. It'll be someone that's already in there.
Yeah, and what? Like, would you rather Dirds go with him or no? I'd rather Dirds play the role that he has been asked to play the last couple.
No,
of weeks.
but I could see like a Zach Williams do it and still go the other way and score a goal or two.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, who knows? But at the end of the day, I just think, to your point, we bring our game. That's the best chance that we've got against the Cats. Ins and outs. Do you change the side if we don't have to?
I mean, if there's,
from the VFL, it didn't sound like anyone was knocking down the door. Will Hayes was.
What a player.
There it is. He gets called upon. Luke Power gives him the call and just says, come get 40 touches.
If Harry's available, I think he does potentially come in. And then probably Young does come out if you're going to keep like the same structure. That'd probably be the only one. I think it's a little bit unfortunate for Young in terms of his output last week against North. But I guess that's a caper at the end of the day.
There's a Luigi Trotti in the chat.
Mm.
Is Jules a Cassano? He is.
Yes.
Cousin of. Yeah?
Yeah.
Second cousin.
Second cousin, yeah.
Second cousin of Antonio.
Yeah.
The Antonio Cassano that you're thinking of.
Not many people probably know of him, but...
No, well, it sounds like Luigi does.
Well, you don't know. What does he say?
Well, he just asked if you're a Cassano. Cassano in capital letters.
But he probably knows, I don't know, someone.
Oh, unless he knows someone else, I guess. But I reckon with a name like Luigi Trotti, he probably...
probably.
I reckon he follows football.
Yeah. You know when I was buying the car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you got that yet?
No, it comes later.
Yeah.
It comes a few months later. In a few months. But the guy on the phone's like Italian. He's like, oh, this is the surname. And he's like, oh, do you know? I go, yeah.
Before he even said
it. Yeah.
You got it your whole life.
But I'm like, how do you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'm from like Italy. Like, you know, I'm like, how long have you been here? Anyway, we're having
If
a
you
long
follow
conversation.
Italian football,
Yeah,
everyone
you would
knows.
know.
Everyone knows.
You would
him.
know.
Yeah. Is Jules Cassano like the former soccer player? Are his origins also from Puglia? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this guy, he's on top of it. Yeah.
There you go.
Your dad's from Puglia.
Yeah.
And your mum's from
Did you?
yeah, from up north. She's a northerner.
Yeah.
More German than anything.
Austrian.
Oh, Yannick Sinner. Let's get back on track and finish this up. Yeah, Harry comes in. Young goes out. I don't think there's anyone else that gets called up from the VFL. I think you try and keep it as consistent as possible.
No.
Will White is one that I've just got to watch on. I know he played well against North, but I'd like to see him do a little bit more. I think we should give him at least another 2-3 games just to really show what he's got.
Yeah, I think with Will White, I like the way he moves and he's a left footer. So, we've got the likes of Carroll in, we've got the likes of White in.
You do
as lefties.
Yeah, you do need that.
I think you need a few. They've seemed to be good or better users of the ball, at least. Yeah, and I just feel like as if White, I reckon he's starting to gain a bit of confidence now.
Yeah.
I think he kicked like 5 or 6 behinds before he did kick a goal.
He did,
So,
yeah.
he kicked a goal,
So that
goal
was
or
his
two.
third game. That was his third game on the weekend, yeah? He came in before West Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Against Collingwood he played.
Yeah, played against Collingwood, played against West Coast, and how many kicked against West Coast? 1 or 2?
He kicked 1.
1. So he's 4 goals in 3 games,
Yeah.
which for a small forward, it's
It's
sort of
the
what
right
you want.
output.
So
I hope he shows something against Geelong, because then it's like, all right, we've got 4 smalls that we can call on. Now.
Yeah.
That's what you want. And then Elijah as well. That's one that we didn't speak of. Good seeing back. I think it's going to take him a month or so just to really get back into the fold. But he actually looked like he hadn't really missed a beat, to be fair. He wasn't super effective, but when he did have ball in hand, he was looking to take the game on, which I liked.
yeah, but that's him.
Yeah, he was
him.
pulling the trigger.
Yeah,
That's what you need.
Another one that I know we didn't even speak about. We probably should have spoken about him, but Cooper Lord.
You love him.
Oh, I think he's got something about him. I know he's probably going to be the sub again. To be honest with you, he'll probably be the sub again, unless they flip it with him and Elijah.
He came on kick too.
But he came on kick too. I think he had like 14 or 15.
Yeah, he did in the last quarter.
Yeah. And how long did he play?
Quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had like 14 or something like that. He did, yeah.
Yeah, he's good. Look, he's good. He is good. He's clearly got some developmental areas that we're not seeing, that the coaching staff are seeing.
Yeah, obviously.
Because otherwise he would be playing every game. But I also think that by the end of the year, if he keeps doing what he's doing, you can't not play him.
Yeah.
All
Is
right.
just me, or do I know the up and comers in terms of like performing or not? TDK,
Yeah,
Elijah,
you're really good, Jules.
Cooper Lord.
I'm not
Why?
going to talk about Tom. I'm not talking about Tom yet. We'll talk about Tom maybe next week. No, you're good. You have called a couple over the years, to be fair. I'll give you that. You anything else to add?
No, but how much?
All right, I'm not going to say this is what's going to happen, but it's what needs to happen for this group to instill complete belief in me that they're actually a good football side.
How much do you want us to win by?
40.
40.
Yeah. I think if they can... So it's very reminiscent of the run... It could be very reminiscent of the run that we had in the back half of 2023, where we started off, we belted Gold Coast, who was shit, right? The next week we came out and we beat...
It was Hawthorn,
who was shit, right? Then we went across to Freo, and it was like, all right, this is a bit of a test. But if they can play the way that they did against two shit teams at the time, and they can beat Freo convincingly, okay, I'll start to look at it. We beat them by 50. Yeah? This is a very, very similar scenario for me.
Yeah. The other thing is, though, it's... I'll do a bit of reading now. I don't know why, but I'll do a bit of reading.
I'm reading at the moment too.
I'm
reading the Bible.
I am. Okay.
I actually am, to be fair, but anyway.
So what I'm talking about is, I think for us, and I think for most things, I think it's more about culture than actual like structure or process or anything like that, especially for us. So I think the confidence and just being able to back the ability and back the process and everything like that, and the belief factor, I think that's a big thing for us. So I think if we start going on a roll, confidence is a massive thing.
Do you agree that if we win by 40, hypothetically, that you'll come into this podcast next week? And
I think 4 or 5 back comfortable is enough.
No. Hold on. I'll ask for the actual prediction in a minute. But do you think if we did, hypothetically, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if they did back it up and they won by 40 against Geelong this week, would you come into the podcast next week going, okay, let's fucking go?
I think before. When are we doing the podcast?
It'll be Sunday.
So it's still Sunday. Okay.
Oh, actually, maybe not. No, it might be. I think it'll be Monday next week. Monday night.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, I reckon even before then, there will be headlines in the media or other podcasts or other whatever saying the similar things to what we're going to be thinking. Yeah, 100%.
Right, what's your actual prediction?
I think we win by 4 or 5 goals.
Yeah, I think we're going to win. I think if we do. One last audio, Bud, just to finish off. Go for it. I said 3 or 4 goals. You said 4 or 5. Yeah.
No, you said 3 or 4 goals.
I'm saying I would love us to win by 40, but I think it's going to be anywhere between 3 and 5 goals.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I reckon 4 or 5 goals. But if the numbers have anything to go by in terms of what our midfielders being able to produce and our forwards, like these things are off the charts, and they've done it 2 weeks in a row essentially. So obviously, if that applies coming into next Sunday, I feel like this is going to be more than enough to be able to win the game.
Yeah, by the numbers,
it should be comfortable.
By the numbers, absolutely, and it's a good point to finish on. I think if we keep backing in the numbers and what the output is saying that we're giving,
the thing is, we've done it for the first halves over the first 4 games. It's just that we didn't do it in the second half.
Correct. So if you put that together across even 3 quarters, you're probably winning most of those games.
Correct.
Yeah. All right, Jules. Thank you everyone for sticking by us with the audio issues again tonight. We will get this sorted, I promise. Hopefully by next week. But if not, just stick with us. Jules, happy birthday.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Up the baggers.
Up the baggers.